Welcome and happy Wednesday. You are on the Heart of Success show, and I'm your host, Larissa Vakulina. I go live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. South Australian time zone. And here on this show, I talk about different things that can help us to create success in all areas of our lives. This is the show where we redefining success not only as a professional success and in business success, but also success in all areas of your life so that you can create success in your inner self, in your feelings, in your creating happiness, joyfulness, your health, vitality, and wellness. So today I was thinking about how can we actually utilize all the most reliable systems there is that is given to us by creator, which is our spiritual compass. This mechanism is like it works all the time, each minute and second of our life. We have this tool available to us to actually help us to navigate this complex way of life. Spiritual compass. So we all know exactly when we doing something that is not really right, or that is harmful, that is distorted, that is something that we know within ourselves that something is not right. And we also know what is really good. It feels amazing. We know. So this is, we feel it. So this is our compass, right? So we all have it and it works all the time. The problem is that we prefer to ignore this, right? So most of the time we don't even understand why in certain ways or situations or with certain people we behave in a very distorted, conflicting, demanding, and forceful way, which creates a lot of pain and suffering, right? So we allow ourselves to live from that unconscious space, which, of course, we let our defensive mechanism to drive our lives. And of course, if we allow that to do, it creates the so-called negative energy fields around us and within us that then perpetuate and amplify these fields and magnify them to the way that they attract more of what you actually sending out. So we kind of very lazy, and we're afraid to go deeper into ourselves and explore all of these areas of that automatic reaction. Why we behave in that way? Why, and where is the root of these behaviors, and how we can actually make it conscious for ourselves and become aware so that we can actually start to shift this state by being really aware and conscious of what we actually doing and from what place within ourselves we're doing it, right? So we constantly trying and demanding external reality and people around us to comfort us, to validate us, to admire us, to love us, so that we feel great, right? So we constantly in a relational contact with external world, but what we forgetting is that our navigation and spiritual compass is exactly showing us and telling us in the form of how we feel if we are on a right path and direction, because it's really simple. Really, it's simple, because if we live from fear, if we constantly feel irritation, if we have doubts, if we have physical pain, if we have emotional pain, we know that our spiritual compass is in action. So we need to learn how not to ignore these signs. And because if we live in this state of constant struggle, well, this is clear. The compass is loudly telling us to reconsider and reflect on our attitudes, on our inner beliefs, in our actions and what we actually doing, and reconsider that inner space of from where we actually living, right? So if we keep ignoring this, the most reliable tool that it is all available to us at any given time, and it's clear signs that the pain, the discomfort, the irritation, the doubts, the fear, the conflict with other people, so then we keep recreating and magnifying and amplifying the negative forces of the field within you and around you. And no surprise that we keep circling, recreating the pain and suffering, the conflict. So this is really is a self-perpetuating mechanism that we are uh, putting into the motion of this reaction of the field that is keep attracting all of these things that we don't really want in our life. So and the problem is that we have these 2 points of access to start to understand how we can change these negative force fields and create a positive force fields, so that we can start to have a full awareness and conscious creation of our reality, right? So the 2 points of access is our mental understanding, and also we willingly wanting to change the thought process that we constantly have as a self-sabotaging little things that constantly ripping us off our happiness, success, our joyfulness, and our creative power, right? So uh, and the second point of access is our feelings, right? So most of us is having the disconnection. We have the cut off between our mental process that we constantly in and our feeling. So when this disconnection is having place, well, then of course there's a lot of confusion. But the most reliable navigation point, or the most reliable navigation measuring uh, tool, your spiritual compass, is always there. This is your feelings. How do you feel in a moment? What is your feelings towards this external situation or the person, and or your creation? How that is showing in internally in yourself as a feeling, right? So when you can clearly know what the feelings are, and if you clearly can actually distinguish that the feelings are more on a negative and painful and suffering side, or more into joyful, free flowing, happy scale, well, then this is your measure. This is your measure. The only problem is, and it goes aeons and aeons in humanity, that people are preferring ignore these signs, and they thinking that that this suffering is actually unnecessary. Well, it's a part of life, of course, but it's not necessary to feel in pain. if you have some negative experience. So it negative experience and negative creation that you attracted through this negative force field also can be a positive, and also in the long run is always a positive learning curve. But if you would start to change your thought process and accepting where you are in the moment, and actually putting the intention and saying to you, okay, I am right now in this moment, but what could be next? What not even what not worked for me in the past, and I go to these vicious cycles, but what could be different for me in a positive, creative way? So how to inactivate or de magnetize, whatever the pronunciation, sorry, to how to deactivate this negative force field is really 3 points I would like to share with you that helped me a lot, which is the first one is not to ignore the signs of your spiritual compass. So when you ignoring it, it just goes past you, and then you again in the same situation. So pay close attention to these feelings, pay close attention to the state and feelings and what you are at, like each moment. How do you feel? If this something that is really worrying you, or there's some sort of fear that is actually you need to check with yourself, is these fears are really true? Are they ever come into reality in your life? Because most of the fears in our life never actually manifested, right? We have these internal fears that are not the possibility of these fears to manifest really very small. But at the same time, if you are clinging to these negative, fearful thoughts, and then you amplify it by your feelings, well, it could come into your life. But that's the process, and this is the challenge we all have uh, to actually choose to change the thought process. And then once we change the thought process, the feelings will be following, and the emotions will be following that new much more positive and much more life supporting thoughts, right? So the first step is, please don't ignore the signs of your spiritual compass, the signs of your feelings, the intelligence of your feelings, right? Secondly, you need to really loudly to yourself formulate very concisely your intention and declare it, because we have millions of thoughts in our head and we have millions of feelings in our heart, but to actually formulate it clearly and concisely and declare it to yourself and actually declare it to the external space is really making big difference. So we all need to learn how to use our spiritual compass into the process of starting to change and deactivate, demagnetize the force fields, that we can start to consciously create things that we love in our lives, and create the life that we love to live, right? And then thirdly is so it's the deactivating and inactivating your negative force fields requires very deep inner stillness. because we cannot force this process by our mind and by our will. What we need to do, we need to have that, we need to establish contact with that divine space within yourself. We need to establish that direct connection with your cosmic eternal self. Only by doing this, even just spending a few minutes a day of going deeply into your inner stillness, can really give you a huge dividends in terms of practicing that connection, strengthening that connection, opening that connection into the much more faster way of sustaining this connection in a long term, right? Because when we don't understand this process, we are giving into that automatic reactions that we keep living, and we become frustrated because in this space here we only want happiness, we want abundance, we want health, wellness. But here is there's no connection, so we cannot amplify and magnify our energy force field that actually disconnected, right? So I hope that possibly this episode gave you a little bit of more understanding of how we can change and shift our negative creation, our painful creation, conflicting creations into much more harmonious, much more aligned, much more happy and joyful creations. And I'm not saying that there's not gonna be some pain in your life. We are uh, creations of creator that is experiencing this pain and suffering. But also, if we change in attitude to these moments in our life as a learning curve, and accepting these lessons as a stepping stones into the creating less and less of these negative creations in our life. So I'm myself constantly uh, observing and analyzing where I'm at, how do I feel, what I'm doing, and even coming up here in this forum, in this show every week, I'm checking up with myself, and this uh, constant dialogue or constant emotional fight between that part of me that is still struggling to be seen, to be showing myself in this life episodes, and the other part is saying no. I'm changing my thought process, I'm changing my feelings towards that, because I know this message could possibly help one person, and this is for me is a word or the joyful event that is bringing back to me this inspirational feeling to keep going, right? So please use your spiritual compass moment by moment, because this is the most reliable system you have, and it's available to you each moment of your life. This is the most reliable system, and this is the most powerful system to really quickly to give you feedback from what you're creating, from that external reality that you is your life, is simultaneously having the feedback, and your spiritual compass is constantly having instantaneously having that feeling about your external creation. So thank you so much for being with me here today, and supporting me, and let's just keep going. Let's learning uh, and enjoying this journey called life. Look at the bottom of my screen. There is a link that you can actually go and grab some freebies. There's a few, there's 3 or 4 of them, discussing different in different very uh, powerful knowledge about the vulnerability, or that soft center of your of your spiritual self, your divine beings. There's also some information about emotional reaction, what it is, and how and why we react in a reactive way, and instead of responding, we react. So there's number of other things that I hope could be really useful for you to start to get on a road of using all capacities, all these beautiful tools and faculties that you have within yourself. You are fully equipped to create the life you really love to live. You are fully equipped to create experiences and reality that would bring you joy, happiness, health, and all that you want. You cannot even imagine how powerful you are, and you have all all these conceivable seeds of possibilities to create the life you really want to live. So thank you again, and I would like to put my usual outro music for you, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.